If you're having a hard time at work and you're constantly stressed and anxious, sick of all the pressure and the BS, feeling overwhelmed and burning out, then you're here for good reason, because you're meant to hear this message today. What I'm about to share has helped numerous professionals transform their workplace experience and lead to a drastic improvement in their performance, their success, and their overall happiness. In this video, I'm going to break down the higher perspective and how mastering it can transform your life and help you to be happy at work. Let me tell you about two different employees at a huge tech company. We have April and Dominic. April graduated from college over 2 years ago, and after bouncing around jobs, she finally landed her dream position. She's wide-eyed and hungry and finds a lot of inspiration from female leadership. She's great at project management and delivering on time. April has two really close friends at work who also work for the same company but in different buildings. April loves running and yoga. She meditates a couple times a week and loosely follows some faith-based practices. She eats pretty clean but loves those Diet Cokes. And she and her steady boyfriend, who also works in the tech industry, live together with their two dogs, Chuck and Larry. April and her BF joke about eventually making that FU money and moving to Portugal to run a beachfront B&B. Dominic is a 41-year-old project manager nearing the end of his third cycle as a 6-month consultant. 7 years ago, he was denied a promotion he just knew would make everything come together for him, and since then, he hasn't held down a job for more than 2 years, and he's been a casualty of 4 different reorgs. Dominic is a pro at project management when he wants to be. He keeps his head down, does enough to get by, and doesn't really get close to any of his coworkers. He's embraced the dad bod over the last 4 years, works out in his garage once, maybe twice a week, and he always unwinds with 2 to 3 beers every single night. He's married to his high school sweetheart, and they have 2 teenagers prepping for college. He would golf every single day if he could, and he never misses church on Sundays with his family. Both April and Dominic are now sitting 9 feet from one another, and for the most part, the office setting, the furniture, personal belongings, and overall environment are exactly the same. It's a sunny day and light is pouring through the windows. The office is pretty quiet right now because most people have already headed home for the day. There's a slight murmur of conversation down the hall and the bing of an arriving elevator. The area smells a little bit like licorice because of their colleague Becky, who never goes a day without it. Both Dominic and April are diligently working on different projects, and they should be done by day's end. This is the present moment, and this is the perception of both employees according to their senses. Now let's talk about perspective. April had a decent day. There were a few fires to put out which caused a bit of stress and anxiety, but she weathered the storm, asked for help, and was able to reset back on the main project. She's been working on this for over 3 weeks, and she's thrilled for the end result. She feels like this is a really great opportunity to show her worth so that she can pursue a promotion. They're interviewing for an ideal role next quarter. She gets along well enough with her boss, but she doesn't have to see her again for the rest of the week, which helps April manage her anxiety. She's excited for a date night with her BF and eager to clock out for the day. Her fingers are blasting away on the keyboard, but she has good posture and an intense focus about her. She's here to win. Dominic is itching to get the heck out of Dodge. His mind is racing with endless evidence as to why he's over this crap and should be a full-time employee, let alone 5 promotions higher at this point. He brings it up to his boss every chance he can, and at this point she smiles and nods, repeating what she always says: "Let's stay the course for now and touch back during reviews." His day has been a chaotic gauntlet of stress and anxiety, with one problem after the next. He feels like he's drowning in a sea of tasks, never-ending requests, and utterly useless meetings. He's actually doing a really good job on the project, but he can't see it because he's constantly questioning his value and his worth ever since he was demoted several jobs ago. And to make matters even worse, Dominic needs to pop over to his boss's office before leaving, and he's filled with dread even though she's been nothing but encouraging and understanding with him. Dominic is slumped over and hammering away on his keyboard like it owes him money. He cannot wait to get out of there, but he's already pissed about the rush hour traffic. From an outside vantage point, April and Dominic are experiencing what appears to be a very similar experience. But once we get to know about them and their mindset, that couldn't be further from the truth. For each of them, their present moment is very different from one another based on their perspective of life. Certain things have happened to each of them from the moment they were born all the way up to this current moment, which have molded their beliefs, their mindset, and their perspective. They're both equipped with a perspective. One of them is the higher perspective, the other one is the lower perspective. Can we take a guess which is which? The higher perspective empowers April. She strives to create solution instead of marinating in negativity and problems. She puts herself out there, trying her best not only to get along with, but establish true friendships with coworkers. She finds enjoyment working hard and delivering her best effort. She knows her value and shares that value with everyone else by showing up authentically, delivering the best performance, and fighting for more responsibility. People see it in her too, and they want her to be a part of their teams. Is April's life a complete walk in the park? No. She suffers from feeling stressed out, she's burning out sometimes, feeling overwhelmed, and has pretty intense bouts of anxiety from time to time. But she knows this is all temporary. She does her best to work through those experiences by fighting to maintain the higher perspective and taking one day at a time. One of her dogs, Chuck, is pretty sick, and that's been making her really worried. She hasn't spoken to her mom in over 3 years, and she's not on good terms with her sister either. But the thing about April is that she knows everyone struggles with personal stuff, and that's where she leaves it at the door before clocking in. Those personal struggles have better equipped her to establish healthy boundaries, both in her personal life and work. All of this does not come easy and without effort. April works hard to take care of her mind and her body by working out, eating healthy, practicing breath work and meditation. She spends a lot of time outdoors and with loved ones. She's constantly listening to self-help podcasts and trying new things to strengthen her confidence. All of this makes her ambitious and driven, but not impatient. She knows what her future holds, and she's diligently working towards the next step, while being mindful for all the blessings and abundance she has now. April is really grateful most of the time. She has an optimistic and positive outlook and a contagious excitement which impresses leadership. The lower perspective is stealing Dominic's life away. He's actually way more talented and experienced than April, but he doesn't believe it, and therefore it doesn't come through. He feels like a victim or a prisoner and feels that he was scammed. He imagined his life would be so much better than how it's turned out. To this very day, he still blames everything on his former boss who demoted him all those years ago. Every assignment is a burden. Every meeting is torture. Every encounter is a waste of time, but nobody knows it. Dominic shows up. He smirks and he nods. He chuckles under his breath at times and seems like he's just kind of going with the flow. He's here to do his job and go home to his loving wife and family. Stress and anxiety are full-time tenants in Dominic's mind and heart. And yes, the medicine helps, but it's just dulling that constant burden. And he actually doesn't even want to be promoted right now because he believes he should have been promoted 3 times over. So he's just stewing in anger and resentment at this point. And because he's in his head so much with an imposter syndrome narrative, self-deprecating thoughts, and an overall negative outlook, he's not the most pleasant of energies to be left in a room with. People can sense that there's something going on with Dominic, but they can't put their finger on it. And even though his work is always on point, the faith in him as a person is very light. Outside of those 60 minutes in church every Sunday, he doesn't really do much to take care of his mind and his body. His diet is cluttered with poison, he battles insomnia because of work and anxiety and drinking beer all the way up until bed. Dominic and his wife haven't had a soulful romantic conversation in years, and his connection with his children is pretty surface ever since they started high school. He can never seem to get ahead with finances as bills are always pouring in, and also one problem after the next is setting him back. All of this comes through at work, and he's lucky to keep his consulting gig, but it sure isn't stable. Somewhere not too far in the distant future, Dominic would have been looking for another job had he not had a chance encounter with April. The higher perspective was not some genetic gift that it was given to April and denied to Dominic. The higher perspective is an understanding that your overall experience at work and in life can be fulfilling and beautiful depending on what you're searching for. April is finding those beauties and those blessings, and she's got to work for it, making an investment in daily habits and establishing a lifestyle for herself. She knows everything is a matter of mindset and perspective, and so she has to keep her mind healthy, positive, and empowered. The biggest difference between April and Dominic is that Dominic simply doesn't know that he has a choice to transform his entire perspective and therefore his life. April learned it back in college, and it changed the entire trajectory of her future. Dominic isn't some pessimistic schmuck. He's a victim of a culture and a society that hasn't evolved to the point to make people's mental health the most important priority. All that is going to change for Dominic when April reveals to him his power through the higher perspective. Of course, he's crazy skeptical of April's woo-woo theories, but then she starts talking about how they're backed by neuroscience and all kinds of studies that have measured perspective and mindset. And all of that aligns with fundamental concepts that both spiritual and religious institutions have been talking about for millennia. This isn't some fad diet. The higher perspective can empower anyone to find peace and fulfillment with who they are in the life they're living while elevating their prosperity and success. The choice is yours. Do you want to be like April, or do you want to be like Dominic? If you want to be like Dominic, then good luck. If you want to be like April, then be sure to stay tuned. In the next video, I'm going to break down the 4 pillars of the higher perspective so that we can take them on one by one, and you can begin your journey of mastering your mindset and transforming your life for the better. Thank you for subscribing to this channel, for sharing this video with your family, your friends, and your colleagues who honestly probably need it more than you do, and for asking questions in the comment section. They call me Coach Joe, and I'm here to help. So thank you for staying all the way to the end, and we will see you next video.